I got a few questions. Questions. Where do you get your protein from? Isn't it expensive to be vegan? Questions. I got a few questions. Haven't we evolved to eat meat? It's natural. I got a few questions.
Shh. It's vegan. All right, thank you guys for joining me again. I am your host, Manny, and this is episode 8, part 2 of Has Letting Go Become the New Age of Success? All right, so I want to get into what we call the shadow aspects of ourselves because it really does play into our belief systems and how we accomplish our goals. So when I'm talking about shadows are just aspects of ourselves that we're not aware of. They're not good, they're not bad, they just exist. And so a shadow is just something you're just not aware of. It's usually found in your subconscious programming. And if you're not aware, your subconscious programming is in part responsible for about 85% of your actions, your thoughts, the way you perceive life. And sometimes if we're not actively having those conversations with ourselves, we can act out our entire existence where 85% of it is almost in a shadow. It's almost in the dark, and we're not aware of why we're doing half the things we're doing. That's why I always tell people to take an evaluation of their life when you feel like you're stuck somewhere. So this episode, which is part 2, is about getting unstuck. And how do we get unstuck? How do we recognize a goal, or at least a belief attached to a goal, and how do we change the belief so we can accomplish the goal, if we even feel like we want to? Because again, in order to do anything, you have to be emotionally invested. Otherwise, you're going to eventually give up, or it's going to be so much work for the rest of your life. So I like to tell people, just find the emotional attachment. Find the reason why you're doing it. Find the reason why you're trying to accomplish this goal and write it down. Because you need to look at that when times get tough, when the goal gets tough and you just can't get to that next step. So the best way to do that is, so first we need to establish the belief. So when we're talking about the beliefs toward the goals, we're talking about what drives your motivation to accomplish that goal, or what drives your motivation to sabotage yourself when the goal gets tough. So they're both two different things. So the belief that gets you to drive toward that goal is usually in your conscious mind, which is your awareness. And I'll use a very simple example. So you want to save money. You want to save $5. And you're like, well, logically, I know how to save $5. I can do X, Y, Z, and I can save $5. That is the belief from your conscious mind, which is your awareness, which is the thing you're actively aware of. Now, when times get tough, and you only have $2 in the bank, and you're like, I really need to save $5 by the next 20 minutes, and you start to doubt yourself. Am I going to be able to do this? That's when you need to rely on your unconscious mind, which is the 85% of your system. Now, that belief is different because that belief usually doesn't always mirror your conscious belief system, which is the one you chose to believe. Your subconscious mind is usually something that's programmed in you when you were a child. And if you grew up in a household where your parents had this ill will toward money, or this negative connection to money and this negative belief about money, then there's a good chance when times get tough when it comes to saving money, you're going to run into a snag. You're going to feel stuck. You're going to feel every part of you, I just can't save this $5. Here's the problem. The problem is that you consciously want to save $5. You consciously understand logically how to do that. Unfortunately, when the situation gets a little muddy and life gets in the way, your subconscious mind is not going to want to push through it because it already has a belief about money. It already believes money isn't worth saving. It already believes all of it wants to believe about money because of how you were taught when you were growing up. And when you try to push past those feelings, it's going to feel really uncomfortable. And usually, in that uncomfortable feeling, we start to try to rationalize. We try to rationalize the reason not to save money, try to rationalize the reason not to accomplish this goal. We will go as far as just saying it's not worth it. I'd rather be happy than save money. I'd rather be happy than feel miserable. And then what happens, which is the crazy part, is that goals don't go away. They do not go away without resolution. You either have to literally consciously give up on them, or you have to find resolution. You have to succeed at them. And what I mean by that is when your subconscious mind is at that point where it's telling you, and you know what, it's not worth it, it's really uncomfortable, you're making everybody around you uncomfortable, it will give you a long list of reasons to just give up. And it's not because it wants you to fail, it's because what you're telling your subconscious mind to do is very uncomfortable for it. It already has a belief about money, and that belief came to you when you were a child, when your subconscious mind was actually being created and programmed by the adults, most likely the adults in your life, and most likely your parents. And it doesn't make your parents wrong or right or bad or good. It just means that you've taken on a belief from them that no longer serves you. And that's where I always tell people, okay, at this point, if we find the value in changing our belief systems, then we have to be honest with ourselves, and we have to truly be honest and say, hey, my parents, they tried their best. They did whatever they thought was right. Unfortunately, their actions no longer serve me, and I have to let go of this belief. But the only way to do that is you usually get to the point where you're just sick of yourself. You're sick of failing. You're sick of repeating the same steps over and over again and getting the same results. And you're like, why am I not getting this one simple concept? I understand how to save money. Why does it get to this point where I don't do it? And I'm telling you, it's because your subconscious mind has a different belief about money than your conscious mind does. Your subconscious mind already believes money isn't worth saving. It's not worth sacrificing your free time with. It's not worth sacrificing your joy for. But your conscious mind respects and appreciates the value of those sacrifices, of saying, you know what, I may not be able to go out with friends for the next couple months, but at least I want to get that goal achieved, which is to save that $5. And so your conscious mind knows how to do it, but you keep failing. So you keep beating yourself up saying, I'm smart, I know how to do this. Why am I not being able to do this one simple task? And it all goes back to, we need to evaluate our subconscious mind. And so that's where the shadows come from. The shadows are just, like I said, they're just parts of the subconscious mind we're just not paying attention to because we're on autopilot a lot. And the best way to know you have shadows, and we'll know what your shadows are, is you're looking for trigger points. You're looking for emotional triggers. Your emotions are usually indicators that something is trying to get your attention inside of you. And so if you pay attention to your emotions more often and really pay attention to them objectively, then you start to see where they come from and where they're pointing at. And so at that place, that's a really good indicator that your subconscious mind is trying to tell you something. When you have an emotional response or really heavy emotional reaction to something, to a subject matter, to a situation, to an event, or to a person's voice, to anything in the world. And if you find value in finding where that comes from, then you can do the evaluation. You can say, where does this come from? What is this feeling I'm feeling? And does it belong to me? Does it belong to my parents? Does it belong to the adults in my life as a child? And do I want to give it back? And only way, when I say give it back, I mean give it back because it doesn't serve you anymore. Give it back to the person that it most likely benefits them more than you. And that's because their life is different. Your circumstances were different, and they didn't know any better. They thought they were just instilling good values. At least, most people. So for the better part, most people think that they're instilling good values in their kids and the people around them. But some of us don't know that it's okay to let go of those beliefs and those values that don't serve us, and either that or to evolve them. And so that's where this whole topic and episode came from about letting go, is because a lot of people in the new age are letting go of a lot of things. They're becoming more conscious, and they're realizing a lot of things don't serve them. And so it is becoming the new age of success, because when you let go of the things that don't serve you, you actually make room for things to serve you, and you're just making space. And you become more and more in tune with yourself, your body, your mind, if you're religious, your soul, and all those aspects of you that make up who you are, your makeup of everything you are. And when things go wrong or things go right, you kind of have an idea of where they come from because you've been taking an inventory. The best way to do this is to take a journal. Write down your thoughts either when you wake up in the morning or before you go to sleep at night, to kind of give you an idea of what the day looked like. And just don't, be honest. Be as honest as possible and be unbiased. If you're be mean about it. Say, hey, I had a messed up day today. I said this to this person and I meant it, and I take it back or I don't take it back, whatever it is. Just take some notes, and it'll really help you get an idea of what your life really looks like from that unconscious perspective, what your unconscious mind is telling you. Because usually when you're writing and you're just zoned out writing, it's usually your unconscious mind writing, and you start to see how it thinks about certain subjects. And another great thing you can do is on the top of your journal page, you can actually say, what do I think about money? Or whatever your goal is you're trying to accomplish, but you're still trying to figure out why you keep failing at accomplishing this one goal, whether it's losing weight, getting a good relationship, having a good job, making a lot of money, setting a certain goal for money, going on that trip you've been wanting to take, but you just keep failing at whatever, whether it's saving money for it or whether it's booking the flight. What is that? What is causing you to do that? And then we just go through the inventory. So the best way to do that, like I said, is on a journal, on the top of the page, write, how do I feel about money? And then unconsciously, every day, write a sentence or two about how you feel about money for the following week. And you start to see a pattern emerge. But I really do wish that you would do this from a place of just sort of zoning out and allowing your unconscious mind to respond and write the answer of the question down. Because if your conscious mind gets into it, you're going to see a lot of intellectual responses. And if you're failing at saving money, then there's a good chance the failing part isn't coming from your intelligence, because your intelligence knows how to save money. There's something else going on. And to get to the bottom of it, we really need to let our unconscious mind kind of unravel and expose itself to us. And this will really help in any subject. If you wanted to find out, why am I sabotaging my relationship? So right on there, how do I feel about love relationships or family relationships? And write that on the top of your page. And then every day for the entire week, get into a really calm place, clear your mind, and then just write the first thought that comes to your mind. And don't judge yourself, because we really want to get a clear picture of how we feel about this subject. And over time, you'll start to see a pattern emerging. And this isn't for you to judge. It's just for you to expose the shadow aspects of yourself. So if you feel that you find value in evolving those beliefs, then you can begin by looking at it from a place objectively and saying, hey, I'm logical, but what you wrote down, it doesn't seem like it's conducive to my development and to my growth. So I got to figure out where these beliefs came from. Now that I see them on paper, I obviously know that they're somewhere inside me, but where did they come from? And I need to give them back to the people, or person, place, or thing that I received them from, or I just have to let them go. And that's basically it. So I want to keep this one pretty short. And so that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and it's a really short one, but if you have any questions or you're confused about anything I said, or if I talk too fast, just leave me a comment below, let me know, and I'll try to clarify the best I can. And I hope you have a great day, and just continue to live life, enjoy life, and live as authentic as possible. But the most important thing is communicate with yourself and communicate honestly with the people around you, and you'll see your relationships flourish. All right. Namaste.
I got a few questions. Questions. Where do you get your protein from? Isn't it expensive to be vegan? Questions. I got a few questions. Haven't we evolved to eat meat? It's natural. I got a few questions.
Shh. It's vegan.